Ladies and gentlemen, I've been wondering for so long, when can we have a real discussion about the national parks in this country? Every time I bring up the discussion, people get defensive. I love hiking. I love kayaking. Screw you. But my question is, when are we going to acknowledge that national parks are literally death traps in this country? Out of all the true crime cases going on in America, all of these crazy murders and missing people cases, half the time the bodies are found in national parks. Do you guys know how many bodies are found in national parks every year? Do you guys know how many people just vanish? They go missing. Many of them are never ever found again. Some of them are going on routine hikes. They know the area, but somehow they just disappear. Or they get distraught and lost and their body gets found months later, frozen solid, all types of crazy stories. Literally all of the craziest stories, you can track them back to a national park at some point in time. And the conspiracy theorist in me believes that there must be some weird, secret, wild stuff going on out there in the wilderness at these national parks sometimes. For one, you got a lot of criminals. You got a lot of people on the wanted list that are like living off the land in these national parks, okay? You might not think it, you might not want to believe it, but you got people who are wanted for all types of heinous crimes who now kind of live in national parks. And I think sometimes they come across people and they off them, dispose of them, do horrible things to them. Yes, I think that happens sometimes. But also I wonder what type of secret government projects are going on, right? We all know that our government is doing all types of weird tests and experiments. They're testing out all types of new equipment, what have you. Who's to say that they're not doing something out here in the middle of these national parks? There have been firsthand accounts of people who say they find strange doorways, or maybe there's military bases in this mountain or underground. And then, of course, you got to think about UFOs. It may seem kind of extreme to people, but let's just say, if aliens do exist and aliens did want to abduct someone, what better place to do it than in the middle of a national park while someone's out in the middle of the wilderness? All I'm going to say is, listen, I know nature is harsh. Mother Nature can be harsh. And you got to respect her. So I understand you go out there in the wilderness and things happen. I know that there is a logical explanation for why a lot of the people, die out here in these national parks. But there's a lot of cases that have no explanation. And I really do think that there's something weird going on out there in these places. And even the people who regularly visit these places, they'll tell you that sometimes their compasses and stuff like that, it goes haywire. So, I don't know. I've always felt really iffy about national parks, especially once I started covering news stories and stuff like that. When you're covering true crime and within 6 months you hear about hundreds of people being found dead and going missing and what have you in these national parks, it really makes you raise your eyebrow. But it's a situation that we don't have conversations about. We don't have many conversations about it. Literally, statistically speaking, I think you would be safer going to the most dangerous neighborhood in America. You would be safer there than in a national park. Now, a lot of you are at home and you're angry because you love going fishing. You go to the national park all the time. And things never happen to you. Well, guess what? Cool. I rode the subway in New York before and I didn't get set on fire. Thank God, but guess what? People are getting set on fire on the subway every day. So just because nothing happened to you or someone you know doesn't mean that things aren't happening. And all it will take is a quick Google search for you to see the alarming amount of people who just vanish in these parks. But the reason I'm talking about this today is because now we have another strange case involving one of these national parks. This time, it was the Gifford Pinchot National Forest in Washington State. Turns out two fellas, the holidays were here, they wanted for shits and giggles, they wanted to go out to the national park and look for Sasquatch. They told their family, hey, don't worry, we'll be home for Christmas. We'll be home on Christmas Eve. As far as I know, I don't know all of the intimate details, but I don't think that this was supposed to be a really serious trip where these two men were supposed to be out in the wilderness for days on end. No, I think they just wanted to go out there for a few hours and they were supposed to come home. They wanted to go out into the national forest and look for Bigfoot for a couple of hours. You know, the ladies are at home making the Christmas dishes. Maybe they wanted to get away from the rest of the family. Maybe they wanted some bonding time. So they go out to look for Sasquatches. But they never come home. Christmas Eve goes all the way by. They never return. Christmas morning, kids wake up wanting to open their presents. The adults are around sipping their coffee wondering, hey, these two people never returned. They went looking for Sasquatch. They were supposed to come home in a few hours. They never came home. Now it's Christmas Day and they're still not home. Something is wrong. Well, there was a massive search and they winded up finding these two guys' bodies. And it's kind of a weird story. I guess the logical explanation is that they froze to death or something like that. But they never went out there with the intentions of staying long. They weren't prepared to camp in the woods or anything like that because that was never the plan. Yet somehow, some way, something happened to them. They went missing for days on end. Maybe they took a wrong turn or something. And they were found both deceased. Let's go ahead and hop into this article and find out a little bit more. 2 Oregon men found dead from exposure in forest while looking for Sasquatch. 2 Sasquatch hunters died after they went missing while searching for the elusive, mythical creature in the Oregon wilderness on Christmas Eve. The bodies of the 2 men, ages 37 and 59 years old, were found in a heavily wooded area of the Gifford Pinchot National Forest in Washington State, the Skamania County Sheriff's Office said Saturday. Police said the pair appeared to have died of exposure amid the harsh weather conditions and their ill preparedness for the forest. The men had set out on their excursion into the wilderness hoping to spot Bigfoot with the intentions to return home before Christmas. A family member reported the 2 men missing in Skamania County to the Skamania County Police at around 1 a.m. on December 25th. A grueling 3-day search was conducted for the men as over 60 volunteer search and rescue personnel took to the area looking for the Bigfoot fanatics. The search party fought through freezing temperatures, snow, rain, and the heavily wooded terrain. 7 separate law enforcement agencies from around the area and the Coast Guard offered services and help in the search that included canines, drones, ground teams, and helicopters. Their exhaustive search efforts resulted in bringing family members home to their loved ones, the sheriff's office said. The Skamania County Sheriff's Office extends our deepest sympathies and condolences to the families of the loved ones lost in this tragic incident. The unidentified pair's car was spotted on a flock camera before police located it in Willard, Washington. Legend of the hairy biped living in the Pacific Northwest has captured the minds of many, leading the thrill seekers to travel to the wilderness of Washington and Oregon in the hopes of seeing the crazy beast. The phenomenon is so captivating, local governments have begun celebrating the creature by hosting Sasquatch hunts. The Pacific Northwest isn't the only area in the country known for its Sasquatch lures. In October, residents in Fairfield County, Connecticut, reported hearing screams coming from the supposed Bigfoot, which lasted for a terrifying 10 minutes. The howls were emitted from a forested area near the town of Monroe on October 17th, 2023, according to the Bigfoot Field Research Organization. So 2 men, Christmas Eve, go out on a little hike, go to see if they could find Bigfoot, and they never, ever return. Now, as far as I know, they never had the intentions of staying out there long, which is why they were ill prepared. Obviously, it was cold, freezing temperatures. I'm sure they were aware of that when they went. So the question is, what went wrong here? What went wrong? Why did these 2 men freeze to death in the middle of the wilderness, in the middle of the woods? Their car wasn't too far away. I mean, sure, you could say, hey, they took the wrong turn. They kept taking the wrong turn. They didn't know how to get out. And yeah, that's obviously possible. But I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta wonder, what is really happening to people out here? Because I've even heard tales of people going through like bouts of confusion and different things like that. Maybe people's like equilibrium is thrown off when your compass gets thrown off. I don't know. But there's always some type of weird, crazy story going down at these places. And I can assure you that tomorrow, the next day, the day after, you will see another crazy story involving a national park or a national forest. A body found here, a body found there, a kid went missing there, a young couple went missing here. All the time. And it happens so much. But no one wants to have the conversation about it. Everyone wants to pretend like there's nothing to see here. But if there was anything else out here that claimed as many lives as our national parks, we would be talking about it, right? I mean, we shut down the entire world for an illness that I don't even want to take it there. I don't even want to take it there. Let me not take it there. All I'm saying is that we have shut down the world for less. Literally for less. Yet hundreds and hundreds of people every year are going missing. They're getting murdered. They're getting kidnapped. Bodies getting found in trunks in the national forest. And it's just something that's kind of dismissed. And when you look back, it's something that's been going on for forever. And when I say forever, obviously not forever, but this was a problem, back in the day too. This isn't a new issue that just started. You know what I mean? Yet it's an issue that most people simply refuse to acknowledge. And when you bring it up, people will get defensive. You will see defensive people in the comment section right now. What do you know about the national parks? I always camp there. That's the type of reactions you get when you point out very real problems. So, unfortunately, what will happen is we'll just continue to go through this revolving door of every couple of weeks. Oh, hey, here's another crazy national park story. And mind you, most of the stuff I don't even talk about. Most of the stuff I don't even acknowledge. I stay away from a lot of the true crime stuff these days. But all of this stuff is still going on, regardless if people want to talk about it or not. Also, while we're on the topic of Bigfoot and national forest and national parks, there are several cases from the past. I may go over some of them in the future, but there are several cases in the past where bodies were found in these national parks that had been brutalized to the point that a lot of people seem to believe that an animal couldn't have done it, or even a human. A regular human with human strength couldn't have done it. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not. All I'm saying is that there has been several cases in the past, several mysterious cases where bodies are found and the placement of bones and certain things really lead people to believe that it wasn't a human that killed them, but it also wasn't an animal that we know of. So there are very mysterious cases out there like that as well. Now, I'm not suggesting that these two men were killed by Bigfoot, but I am suggesting that something weird may have went down, and that something weird may be something as simple as a bout of confusion coming over people sometimes when they go out to these certain areas or what have you. But hey, maybe there's a logical explanation for it all. For now, though, you let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and make sure you're very careful the next time you go to a national park.